What if I told you that one of the most devastating piston-engine fighters of World War II, a plane that held its own against the first operational jets, ended up being a footnote in history? It was faster than a Spitfire, deadlier than a Typhoon, and more feared than the V1s it hunted. But brilliance comes at a cost. Welcome to Historical Digs. For today, we uncover the turbulent saga of the Tempest, an aircraft born from the ashes of the Typhoon, forged in desperation, and unleashed just in time to make a difference, but not a legacy. The Reluctant Evolution. The story of the Hawker Tempest truly begins with its unruly older brother, the Typhoon. The Typhoon was a formidable aircraft, a low-level ground attack monster beloved by pilots for its sheer destructive power, but it was plagued by inherent structural weaknesses and a nasty habit of its tail assemblies detaching during high-speed dives. These alarming issues, coupled with its thick-wing design that generated excessive drag at higher altitudes, meant the Typhoon was struggling to fulfill its intended role as a high-altitude interceptor against formidable German adversaries. Hawker's legendary chief designer, Sidney Cam, recognized the urgent need for a solution. His initial vision was a refined Typhoon, a Typhoon II, but as his design team delved deeper, the required modifications quickly spiraled into something far more radical than a mere upgrade. This wasn't just a redesign, it was a desperate gamble, a race against time and the very limitations of piston-engine technology. The RAF desperately needed a fighter that could truly dominate the skies, and the Typhoon, for all its raw power, just wasn't cutting it in the upper echelons of air combat. Cam's team tackled the Typhoon's aerodynamic shortcomings head-on, focusing on its problematic wing. The solution was a brand new, thinner wing optimized for higher speeds with near-laminar flow characteristics. However, developing a new wing from scratch while under intense wartime pressure was anything but simple. On top of that, the initial plan to equip this improved aircraft with a Napier Sabre 4 engine encountered significant development snags. This forced Hawker to explore various engine options, leading to the creation of 6 distinct prototypes, each designed to test a different powerhouse. This complex multi-engine development path was a testament to the urgency of the war, a kind of aeronautical trial and error played out at lightning speed. The eventual triumph was the Tempest Mark V, a version that coupled that sleek new wing with the immensely powerful Napier Sabre 2A 2B engine. This 24-cylinder H-type beast churned out over 2,200 horsepower, transforming the problematic brawler into a sleek, high-speed interceptor capable of speeds approaching 430 miles per hour, a truly staggering figure for a piston-engine fighter of its era. Before we dive deeper into the Tempest story, hit that like button and subscribe to Historical Digs. Your support helps us unearth the untold stories of aviation's most battle-hardened war machines. The Tempest's design was a masterful blend of brute force and aerodynamic finesse. Its long, semi-elliptical wingspan provided excellent lift characteristics and handling at speed, while the formidable Sabre engine gave it a raw power that few other contemporary fighters could match. This engine, while undeniably potent, was also a complex and maintenance-intensive piece of machinery, demanding constant attention and skilled hands from ground crews to keep it running smoothly. Yet when it worked as intended, it propelled the Tempest to incredible velocities, making it one of the fastest low to medium altitude fighters of the war. The Tempest wasn't just built for speed, it was conceived as a high-speed hunter, specifically designed for the rapid interception and devastating strike missions that the evolving air war demanded, a stark contrast to its predecessor's close air support role. This journey from a troubled design to an aerial marvel was a testament to Hawker's persistence and Cam's vision. Forge of the Doodlebug Hunter. The summer of 1944 brought a new and terrifying threat to the skies over Britain: the V1 flying bomb. These pulse-jet-powered missiles, cruelly dubbed doodlebugs by a shaken public, were fast, indiscriminate, and notoriously difficult to stop. Their monotonous thrumming, which would suddenly cut out just before impact, instilled a unique dread across London and southeastern England. Traditional interceptors often struggled to catch these aerial bombs, as many Allied fighters were optimized for higher altitude combat and lacked the raw low-altitude speed required. However, the Hawker Tempest Mark V emerged as the undisputed champion of the V1 hunt. Its blistering speed at low altitude was precisely what was needed to run down these aerial projectiles before they could wreak havoc on civilian populations. Tempest squadrons were specifically assigned to diver patrols, flying continuous circuits over the English Channel and the coastal regions, waiting to pounce on the incoming threat. The interception tactic was often straightforward, but always fraught with danger. Upon spotting a V-1, a Tempest pilot would dive to gain maximum speed, then position themselves behind the missile. If a clear shot presented itself, the pilot would open fire with the Tempest's formidable armaments of 4 20mm Hispano cannons positioned in the wings. These cannons were devastatingly effective, capable of ripping a V-1 apart in seconds, often causing a spectacular explosion in the sky. But sometimes even concentrated cannon fire wasn't enough, or the V-1 was too close to a populated area, making a direct destructive hit too risky due to falling debris. In such dire circumstances, Tempest pilots resorted to an audacious, almost unbelievable maneuver. They would slide their wingtip underneath the V-1's wing, creating a difference in air pressure that would disrupt the missile's delicate gyroscopic guidance system. This would often destabilize the V-1, causing it to lose control and plummet earthward, its engine cutting out in eerie silence. It was a testament to the Tempest's robust construction and the sheer bravery and skill of its pilots who risked mid-air collision and the V-1's explosive payload in a desperate bid to protect their homeland. The psychological and practical impact of the Tempest's success against the V-1s cannot be overstated. From June to August 1944, Tempest pilots accounted for over 600 V-1 kills, a staggering number that demonstrated the aircraft's crucial role in defending Britain during this period of intense aerial bombardment. Their efforts not only saved countless lives, but also boosted civilian morale and denied the Germans a potent terror weapon. Pilots like squadron leader Joseph Barry, who achieved 59 V-1 kills, became household names, symbols of defiance against the relentless assault. This specialized high-stakes combat forged the Tempest's reputation as a peerless low-altitude interceptor, proving its unique capabilities in a crisis. Its effectiveness in this role cemented its position as a vital asset, an unexpected hero in the new form of aerial warfare. The Piston's last roar. While the Hawker Tempest earned its stripes hunting V-1s, its capabilities extended far beyond intercepting flying bombs. With its immense speed and powerful armament, it quickly established itself as a potent ground attack aircraft, taking over many of the roles previously assigned to the Typhoon. Tempest squadrons ranged across occupied Europe, engaging in armed reconnaissance missions where they would ruthlessly target German transport, trains, military vehicles, and troop concentrations. Its 4 20mm cannons made it a devastating platform for strafing and bombing missions, though it rarely used rockets like its Typhoon predecessor. Pilots would often describe these missions as train busting, a dangerous but highly effective way of disrupting German logistics and preventing reinforcements from reaching the front lines. The sheer power of the Sabre engine allowed for rapid strikes and quick disengagement, making it difficult for ground defenses to react effectively. Yet the Tempest's most impressive and perhaps ironic triumph came against the dawn of the jet age. As World War II drew to a close, the Luftwaffe introduced its revolutionary Me-262 jet fighter. Faster than any piston-engine aircraft in level flight, the Me-262 seemed poised to rewrite the rules of air combat and potentially turn the tide in the air. But the Tempest, with its exceptional speed in a dive, its powerful engine, and its superior maneuverability at lower altitudes, proved to be an unexpected counter to these early jets. Tempest pilots quickly learned to exploit the Me-262's vulnerabilities, particularly its slow acceleration during takeoff and landing and its limited maneuverability at slower speeds. In tactics the RAF called rat catches, they would lie in wait over German airfields or intercept the jets as they were returning to base. That's when they'd pounce, often catching the jets at their most vulnerable moments, when they had little energy to evade. It was a shocking display of the piston engine's final, desperate gasp against the inevitable tide of jet propulsion. On numerous occasions, Tempest pilots engaged and successfully shot down Me-262s, a feat that seemed impossible on paper given the jet's speed advantage. These engagements highlighted the importance of tactical cunning and pilot skill over raw technological superiority alone. the Tempest proved that raw power, expertly applied through aggressive diving attacks and shrewd positioning, could still hold its own, even if only for a fleeting moment, against the cutting edge of enemy aviation. This ability to combat both the V-1 terror and the nascent jet threat solidified the Tempest's reputation as one of the most versatile and potent piston-engine fighters of the latter half of the war, a true jack-of-all-trades that mastered many. A brief, brutal legacy. Despite its formidable capabilities and impressive combat record, the Hawker Tempest found itself caught in a cruel twist of fate. It arrived too late to truly define the air war on a strategic scale. By the time it entered widespread service in mid-1944, the tide had already turned decisively in favor of the Allies. The Luftwaffe's fighter arm was a shadow of its former self, decimated by years of attrition and simply outmatched by the overwhelming numerical and technological superiority of Allied air forces. While the Tempest excelled in its anti-V-1 role and proved a deadly hunter of trains, tanks, and the few remaining German aircraft, it never faced the kind of large-scale, high-intensity aerial combat that its predecessors, like the Spitfire and Mustang, had in the early and middle years of the war. Its moment of glory was impactful, but geographically and temporally limited, concentrated primarily in the defense of Britain and tactical ground operations in the final year of the European conflict. The very engines that made the Tempest so powerful also hinted at its impending obsolescence. The Napier Sabre, for all its raw output and revolutionary design, was a complex, temperamental, and ultimately a dead-end design in the context of rapidly advancing aviation technology. It represented a peak achievement of piston engine technology, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with reciprocating engines. However, jet engines with their simpler design, greater power potential, and far fewer moving parts were clearly the future. The development of the Tempest itself highlighted the struggle. While the Mark V, powered by the Sabre, was a success, later variants intended to use different piston engines, like the Centaurus, faced prolonged developmental headaches and never reached the same level of prominence. The immense resources and engineering brilliance poured into perfecting these massive piston engines would soon be redirected entirely towards the new paradigm of jet propulsion. The writing was on the wall, even if it was still faintly etched, that the era of piston-powered dominance was drawing to a close. And then there was the harsh reality of the post-war political landscape. As the global conflict ended, military aviation budgets around the world shrank dramatically, and the strategic focus shifted entirely to the development and production of jet aircraft. The Tempest, a magnificent apex predator of the piston age, had no real place in this new world. Its role was already being superseded by first-generation jet fighters like the Gloucester Meteor and soon after, the de Havilland Vampire. Despite its impressive performance and undeniable combat prowess, it was essentially a final, brilliant iteration of a dying breed. It didn't have long operational life in frontline RAF service beyond the immediate post-war years, quickly giving way to the new generation of jet fighters that embodied the future of air combat. The Hawker Tempest was brilliant, brutal, and ultimately doomed, not by its own failings or design flaws, but by the relentless march of technological progress. So, what do you think? Was the Hawker Tempest a victim of its own perfection, or does its brief, brutal dominance cement its place as a true unsung hero of the air war? Let us know your take in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to join us on the next historical dig. Until then, remember, history is full of hidden gems if you know where to dig.